Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how to become a public speaker. Imagine it. You're standing in a giant room and the audience is hanging on to your every word. There are some crucial steps that you need to take if you want to become a public speaker. If you envision yourself speaking to a crowd and connecting with them, you'll definitely want to follow the steps in this video. By the end of this video, you will learn the importance of unlocking your message, building your speaker assets, and the one special tool that can help you cement your credibility. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. It's really special that you want to become a public speaker. You think about the ability to speak to crowds, to move people, to connect with them, to share your message widely. And it's just really powerful to be able to think about that and to think about you stepping into this role as a thought leader, as somebody who has something important to say and who people are interested in listening to. Public speaking is a scary prospect. It's an exciting prospect. There's internal gaps and internal blocks that we have to overcome when we think about speaking to a crowd. But the moment that you can really do that and step into your power and your message and your authority, it's that chance for you to take that next step in your journey, the next step in thought leadership, the next step in your dreams. So first things first, you really have to figure out what your message is. What do you want to say to people? What experiences do you have? What topics are you interested or an expert in? You really need to have some background or understanding in the topic you're talking about. You don't want to go and start giving public speeches on something you don't know much about or that can easily be knocked down. You want it to be something that you know, inside and out. I think about the topics that I'm an expert in, the things that I understand: leadership, journalism, book writing, all of these things that I've done in some capacity. You've got to have some background, some research, some understanding on a topic to be able to go and speak about it. But more than that, it's got to be something that people want to listen to. That's not to say that it can't be, outside the box. It can't be, kind of a different approach. But you want it to be something that people want to listen to. If you're giving speeches on topics that no one's interested in, it's really tough to build your career and establish yourself as a public speaker. So you have to really think about what your message is, think about popular topics, and think about how you can really connect to an audience. The next step after you really figure out what your topic is to build out your speaker assets. Think about your website. Think about videos, a video reel of you giving speeches, a one sheet where it's a PDF, one page where it talks about the things that you talk about as well as your contact information. You want to give people the ability to find you, and you want to put yourself in position to be found. Maybe that's on LinkedIn, maybe that's on your website, maybe that's in other places. You need to give people an easy way to find you and to understand what you're speaking about. And having that video is so important, to be able to record yourself talking. I know people who are establishing themselves as public speakers who will literally rent out an empty room. Maybe it's a gym, maybe it's an auditorium, and maybe they'll give a free speech or they'll give a speech to an empty room just to get the video. So they literally will record themselves talking, zoom in different ways. Some videographer will work with them, and next thing you know, they have a reel. It's really important to be able to build out your assets, because otherwise it's going to be tougher and tougher for people to find you. Once you have all these elements in place, your message, you understand what you're saying, you have your assets in place, you have your videos recorded, your website set up, your social media, your PDF, it's time to start speaking to audiences, to going out and speaking to people. That could be free speeches, that could be local speeches. It's really about building reps and building experience. In order to get good at something, you need to work at it. I think about myself when I was first getting into speaking and being on camera, I was terrified. I was completely terrified. My first semester in college, I actually took a public speaking course, and I was, at the start of it, the worst student in the whole class. I was so bad at it. I was just very nervous, and I would actually write out my entire speech and read it off of index cards. It wasn't presentable. It wasn't easy to listen to because I was here instead of speaking to the crowd. By the end of that semester, the more I had to stand up and talk to the group, I got more comfortable and was able to kind of start thinking on my feet. But it took time. I think about recording these YouTube videos today, and I really just bullet point different things and then talk through them. So it's not like I have everything scripted. I'm simply talking to the camera. It requires practice. It really does. And when you start speaking to groups, you learn different things. You learn about eye contact, you learn about gestures, you learn about pacing, you learn to slow down. A lot of times when you're starting to establish yourself or not that experienced in public speaking, you're going a mile a minute. Your mouth, blah, 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 blah. You're going very fast, and it shows, that you're not in control of the message. You're not in control of the presentation. You're not in control of your emotions and feelings and everything else. It's about slowing down. It's about getting more and more experience and more practice giving those presentations. So if you have a 10-minute window or a 20-minute window or a 30-minute window, you kind of understand exactly what you want to say. I have a friend of mine, Emma, who's now getting into public speaking herself. And it's interesting because her message is digestible no matter how big of a space and time frame she has to tell it. So she'll go and give a speech to a group, and they'll tell her, okay, you have 20 minutes, and she'll fill 20 minutes. 10 minutes, she'll fill 10 minutes. 30 minutes, she'll fill 30 minutes. Keynote address, she's going to fill that keynote address. It's special to be able to tailor your message to the venue, to the audience, to the time limit, to all these things. You're kind of thinking on your feet, but also have these elements in place. And the more experienced you are, the more practice you have, the easier it becomes. Once you start getting this practice and experience and feeling more comfortable giving speeches to groups, it's great to be able to network and grow your pipeline. There are groups out there and there's opportunities out there, probably locally for you, that you can find. There's National Speakers Association, there's Toastmasters. Some areas even have TEDx presentations where you can sign up to give a TEDx talk. It's great to be able to find local groups that will allow you to get those reps and get that experience and practice and hone your message. And I think the bigger the stage, the more opportunity there is to really, really narrow down what you want to say. When you listen to some of these TEDx talks and they have 12 minutes or whatever it is to be able to share their message, you can tell how finely tuned that message is. When they give that speech, it's there. It's the best stuff. It's the most important, sharpest stuff. If you present that over 30 minutes, you're going to water it down a little bit. It's going to be a little bit different. You're not hitting, best hits, greatest hits the entire time. You're coherently telling a story and going from one point to the next point. But the more polished that you can become, the better opportunity there is for you to really take that leap. But these groups allow you opportunities to give speeches regularly, to connect with other people, which is exciting, and to really build your network. This is really about networking. It's about connecting with new people. Maybe you reach out to local groups, maybe local business chapters, and offer to come and talk to them. You find groups that are interested in having people come to speak. You find, people who are interested in the message that you're sharing. It's so empowering when you can get a room full of people who are hanging on to your every word, but you need to be in the right room for that to happen. It's not just about giving a speech, it's about giving a speech to the right group, understanding how your message connects to your audience, understand what they're interested in, and really just being able to stand up and own it. I myself think back to a business group that I connected with in my local area. I live outside of New York City, and there was a business group that I connected with, and I went to a couple meetings and spoke, for a couple minutes. They just wanted us to introduce ourselves if we were new to the group. And it was obvious that this wasn't a good match. They were awesome people, but they were talking a lot about HVAC work and other types of business opportunities. That group wasn't exactly the right fit for me in terms of the things that I was talking about. They weren't the right audience for that. But there are groups out there who are the right audience for that. So it's really about understanding who your audience is and connecting with them. As you get more and more established, you could actually get to the opportunity where you're making money on speeches. I know people who are making $5, $10, $20,000 every time they speak to a group, which is super exciting. In order for that to happen, you need to have a sellable message. You need to have a message that resonates, that people are really interested in, that's worth money. It's something deeper, so you really need to unlock the message element, and you need to unlock the networking element, and you need to network the presentation element. All of these things need to really fall in line before you can really start making money on speeches. But there's other things that can unlock from speeches too. This isn't just about making money up front. If you're speaking to the right audience, you could find clients and customers who will then pay you tens of thousands of dollars to work with you. So it's a matter of understanding what you're presenting. It's a matter of connecting with the right audience. It's understanding what you're selling. But at the same time, there are opportunities to make money from public speeches. One of the most important things that you can do if you're interested in getting in public speaking is writing a book. When you think about what you're trying to accomplish as a public speaker and building yourself as a thought leader, you want to be the go-to person on your topic and your space. You want to be the person that people reach out to when they think, I want somebody to talk about this. You want to be that person. You can become that person over time if you have the credibility building assets. When we talked about assets earlier of website and reels, the ultimate asset for a public speaker is to have a book, to be able to plant that flag in the ground and to really own this space like no one else can. For me, public speaking and book writing go hand in hand. A lot of times when a public speaker will go and give a talk to a group, one of the elements of that speech is to be able to give copies of the book to people who attend the meeting, to attend the speech. They actually get a copy of the book. So there's bulk buy opportunities that come through in public speeches. These things go hand in hand, and then when you think about getting booked for different opportunities, who are the go-to people? The people who've written books, and you've written the book. The book and the public speaking should go hand in hand, and you're really galvanizing your credibility. You're really telling your audience, whether at home reading a book or in a crowd, that you are the authority, that you are the most knowledgeable person in this space, that you have a message that resonates, that's going to help them change and transform their life, that's going to help them rethink something. So book writing and public speaking go hand in hand, and if you want to take the next step as a public speaker, you need a book today. You need a book. If you don't have a book, you're always going to be falling short and coming up short in terms of the opportunities and the reach that you can have in public speaking. If you're interested in learning more about how to become a public speaker, and you're definitely interested in writing that book alongside it, I'd love to talk. I'd love to connect with you. I personally help people write their books. I'm a professional ghostwriter, and public speakers are among the people I work with. I have many clients who are public speakers. So if you're interested in public speaking and you're interested in book writing, definitely head to my website. It's goodghostwriter.com. You can click the link below and schedule a free one-on-one strategy call with me. I would love to talk. I would love to connect. I would love to hear about your message and how a book and public speaking can help you take the next step in your journey. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.